talk to Nina Schick, who joins me from another part of Westminster, I think. She is from Open Europe, a think tank committed to EU reform. So fascinating to know from you, Nina, whether you think this is substantial reform, this deal that David Cameron has come home with.
The deal, from our view, isn't transformative, but it's not trivial either. I mean, it's the biggest single shift vis-à-vis the EU from a member state. It's quite interesting to see how the Europeans on the continent have been reacting to the deal. Although here it's been largely, there's been a sceptical reception on the continent. They see this as a massive change. So in many ways, the two sides are talking past one another.
Talking past one another, just elaborate, Nina, on what you mean with that and what that means in the months and I guess the years going forward.
Well, I think that skeptics of Cameron have said that this deal doesn't amount to much. It's not worth the paper it's written on. However, if you look at the European reaction, they think that this is a tremendous benefit for the UK. So, for example, I've been reading the Spanish press this morning who say that this deal means that EU citizens are not equal on the benefits curve specifically. So I think that even though people have said that this has been orchestrated and it's been manufactured, a charade, I think that the negotiations were actually quite tough for Cameron in the end as regards the other EU states, specifically on things like the benefits curbs, the Eurozone issue with France and so on. I think Cameron was lucky to have Germany as a strong ally in the negotiations. And of course now the EU is hoping that Britain will vote in. But now the campaign kicks off in earnest here.
Yes, absolutely. And that's interesting. I mean, do you have a sense that as this deal percolates through to the other countries, as it's dissected and analysed in all the other member states that have just left that summit in Brussels, that that's when some disgruntlement could emerge?
Well, the V4 countries, the Central and Eastern European countries, were obviously also not happy on the benefits curbs. And I think that will certainly come through in the press today and over the weekend. But of course, for some issues in Cameron's reform package, there was actually a lot of agreement with some EU member states. This is on the competitiveness issue and also on those benefits curbs, which have been so controversial in Central and Eastern Europe. Countries like Denmark, Austria, Germany, they actually say they also want to do the same thing. So I think Cameron's reform agenda has kicked off a massive debate, also not just here in the UK, but also in Europe, about the future direction of the EU and what kind of union it's going to be. So if Britain remains in a reformed EU, one would hope that this process would continue.
Really interesting. Thanks very much, Nina Schick, there from the think tank Open Europe.